you a little bit how we do our firewood using some case Ingersoll equipment, but mainly wanted to showcase the dual direction wood splitter. It's case Ingersoll made, super heavy duty, and it's really impressive. It splits both directions, saves a ton of time, and I will show you that. Here's the 648 picking up our logs. No idea what this log weighs, but this thing's pretty massive. The other end of it really shows the size of it. No problem lifting it though. That's cut out of 45, so it's only really half the diameter. Just bucking up some logs here, just to add a little bit content to the video. For those that ask, it's a 372 XP Husky chainsaw. Had that for many years. Here's a big round. A lot of these pieces of wood we were cutting up were big rounds. But in the stock form, the wedge here just splits anything. You can hardly ever find anything that this splitter will say no to. Being up a little high, lifting these rounds up, a little bit of a disadvantage compared to ones that are lower, but it's a lot nicer working at this level. I think this was a big maple. I'm not the best on wood, but I believe that's what this one was a big maple. Been sitting seasoned for a little while, this piece. I'm not sure the diameter. So you got no wasted strokes, because it splits both directions. 90% of the time we've got the tractor running quarter to third throttle. That's all it needs. And power wise, you can run it a lot less. It just slows the stroke down a little bit. If you really want to speed it up, this thing will run probably twice the speed with the throttle 3/4 to full. But it runs fast enough, plenty of power, no sense of burning extra fuel. It's sound level is comfortable at this point. But again, just about 1/3 throttle, I would guess right now. On this particular tractor, the splitter, they say the cycle time, I think, is right around 10 seconds. It's hooked up to a 4120, and I believe they rate around 12 tons. And I think it's an honest rating. I think it might even be a little bit more, to be honest with you. I know a lot of log splitters are way overrated nowadays. You'll see these 20, 30 ton log splitters, but the machines or the little engines running them won't even power the pump enough to put out that force. Compare it to something that's, Harbor Freight or Tractor Supply or whatever. This will outperform any 20 or 30 ton splitter I've ever used that's quote unquote 20 or 30 tons. This is a 4-way wedge. Quick story, I just wanted to see if it would work, so I just one afternoon kind of hacked and welded something up together, and just to see if it will work, if I would like it. I wanted to have something that could slip on and off. It wasn't committed, and I wanted to see how much of the bed it would take up, because it is dual direction. So even if it's an inch on each side, you're talking 2 inches. You're limited in your bed capacity. But this worked out great, and this was probably 4 years ago I built this, and this thing's still going strong. It wasn't really built to be lasting long or in heavy duty, but while it's still working, we'll keep rolling with it. We do a lot of meat smoking, and we got a bunch of smokers. So I wanted something that could split up some smaller pieces too, and work in the smoker, and we like to have different size wood when we're burning for starting fires or different temperatures. You'll notice we've got some real big pieces we allow fall to put some real stuff up into small little kindling size pieces. I don't know if I was going to build this 4-way again. I may raise the horizontal up to about the top of it. But you'll notice the pieces that are on the bottom most of the time aren't too bad. It's a nice mix. I could put a spacer underneath it and achieve the same thing, and then not limit myself to having just bigger pieces underneath. Like that piece right there underneath, that's a good, nice size to start. Depending on how hard the wood is, how heavy it is, what it is. This is a nice piece of oak, beautiful piece of oak. You can just kind of peel chunks away, as you can see, and you can make them as uniform as you want. And you can break it down into manageable pieces. Having the table on both sides allows you to hold a piece on one side and work and do what you got to do. Anywhere in this video that's sped up, it's sped up 4 times. So a 30-second clip is a 2-minute in real life clip. So if you think about these big rounds, and even though they're sped up just to make the video go faster, you know, one person sitting there taking this big round in a minute or two down to nothing. Often with normal sized pieces of wood like this, I'll put 2 on there and work them back and forth. So on your back and forth stroke, you're really doing 2 different pieces of wood, and you'll see how quick it goes. You'd be surprised how much wood you can get done in an hour. Well, you could probably bang out a cord pretty handy. If you got 2 people going, one loading and unloading the wood and one running the splitter, works real good. I mean, 2 people faster. Some of these rounds we got, these pieces of these logs we got, were just really big, heavy, dense wood, and lifting them up on the machine, on the splitter, was not going to happen. The video doesn't show the size of this piece of wood as well, and it's heavy and wet. But either way, it was big and it was heavy. And the forks on the 648 do it with these. I mean, that's nothing for that machine to lift up by any stretch. But for me to wrestle it around a little bit. And here, the 2-way wedge would probably made a little bit more sense to break this thing down, but I had the 4-way on there, and I think it was one of the last pieces, if I remember correctly, and we just kind of rolled with it, and it worked out alright. Sometimes the 4-way will be too much. You do get a big gnarly piece, and you just slide it off and put, you know, so you're back to the 2-way, and the 2-way will pop it without even thinking twice. That's why I wanted the 4-way to be able to slide on and off, because you're asking a lot more of the machine with the 4-way on there, instead of just, you know, splitting your one vertical. You got the 2 horizontals on top of it, even though they're set back a little bit, and it's wider, so it's not as sharp, and there's a lot more resistance with the wider edge on the leading edge compared to the factory wedge. Again, it's just nice, you flip it over, you roll it over, you go back and forth, you're not waiting on a return stroke, you're not moving no piece of wood out of the way for it to come back. It's just extremely efficient. Your log splitter is built extremely heavy duty. I'm not sure the exact weight. I want to say it's right around 400 pounds. I remember looking up in the book one time and being surprised, but when you go to try to move it, it's hefty. There's a relief valve on the handle right there, plus the tractor relief valve. I've got that one set around 2,500 on the splitter itself. Here's one of our other 648s with the loader. The fork machine wasn't around right now, so we were just moving wood and stacking them with the bucket. Not very handy, but gets the job done. The 648s are just great machines. They're mini construction true loaders. They're not a garden tractor with a loader, but these are true mini construction machines. Built and designed by the same guys that built the case backhoes, the 580s, and all that kind of stuff. And then they're extremely capable, and lift capacity on those little machines and the backhoes are amazing. The purpose-built loader, power steering, subframe, counterweights, everything in the backhoes. Here's another piece, a nice beautiful piece of red oak, I believe. One to just show you can kind of peel off and do whatever you want with this nice little wedge, the single wedge there. Usually I'll kind of just crack it around almost like a clock, and then do the final splits, and they all kind of start peeling apart nice. That way you're not manhandled as much. You don't have to go all the way through with the full stroke. Usually that thin wedge will just pop it nice. Like right there, I could have gone back with the handle. It really makes for fast splitting again. There's a couple slow motion videos of slinging some wood chips with the saw. Just break it up, add a little something different to the video. Chain was pretty sharp, nice even uniform chips coming off there. Saw is probably 25 years old. It's been super good saw to me. I had it when I was farming, and can't complain. Here's a 4-way on a piece of oak. There's a lot of different ways you can operate this thing and do what you want to do as far as moving the wood around a little, moving it back and forth, one side to the other, whatever you're comfortable with. Whenever we could get these in, they sell very fast. They're a very popular high demand item. We've had guys put them on skid steers, mini excavators, farm tractors, all kinds of different things people come up with because they're rated for high PSI and high flow gallons per minute. They work on all kinds of different machines. we really enjoy seeing what people do. I just really prefer this splitter to many other ones I've had over the years. Even ones connected to farm tractors we've had when we were farming. This is just the size of it, with the amount of work it'll do, the build quality, and then being able to run it off the any of the Case Ingersoll tractors is really nice. These are well worth the money. They're not cheap when they're used. They weren't cheap when they were new by any stretch. But a worthy investment. This thing will be around for another 30 years. It may even be older than that. The bed, I think, will take a 26-inch log if I'm not mistaken. Big enough for almost any stove out there. They did make a 3-point hitch model like this, and those are handy. We've had them. They're nice when you get these big heavy rounds. You don't have to lift them all the way up, but they're not as stable because they're hanging off the 3-point hitch. You gotta have some counterbalance on the front of the tractor and put something underneath the splitter. And they also they're not as high, so when you're working on them, you're bent over a little bit more. They definitely do have their place. If we had them both going, the 3-point hitch would have been nice to break these rounds up and then pick them up onto this machine. Again, this big piece of oak was sitting in the bucket, so it was a little bit easier to handle, but these things were heavy. That oak was still fairly grained. Beautiful piece of wood though. And you just see that 4-way even just pops these with ease. I believe here we're back to some maple. This is a little bit of a knotty, gnarly piece. Gets hung up on the wedge, but the nice thing about this dual direction also, you get something wedged up on there, you don't have to beat it, you just flip it over, go back, and this thing's got enough power to cut through it sideways. The bigger pieces you don't have to handle as much because you're going back and forth, and just roll one way and flip it the other and get a picture of how it works. And that big chunk was chopped up there pretty quick. Again, cut it in half and we'll quarter it up. A lot of different ways you do it. Sometimes you can cut it up like a pizza, you can cut it up in half, you have a lot of options with this machine. We'll have to ask the resident New England firewood expert at Build a Lot Acres, Case, if we're doing a satisfactory job. He's I'd call our New England firewood expert. Great guy, great channel they got there at Build a Lot Acres. Be sure to check them out. And he's got a ton of firewood videos, garden tractor videos, and be sure to give them a like and a subscribe. And always remember, if man built it, man can fix it. Please give us a like and subscribe. We'd love to hear your comments down below about the video or other videos you'd like to see being made. We got some future plans coming up with some tool reviews and product reviews, service truck tours and shop tours and that kind of stuff, all in the works. But be sure to give us a subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. It helps others get to see our content as it gets out there in YouTube better the more subscribers you got, and it helps us with making the videos and continue to make them. Be sure to check out our website, CaseIngersollTractors.com. We've got lots of information on Case Ingersoll machines, technical information, just some interesting information, original brochures. We've also got a storefront there where you can purchase parts and our custom kits among other items, and we're going to continue to add. Be safe until next time. Thanks for watching.